a new kind of a scenario when you talk about tax technology. And do you think it's been really working well for us so far?
Thanks, Kavita. So, right. But before that, let me just give a quick context. So, the tax administration, the income tax department has really been a pioneer when it comes to adoption of technology in tax. To be honest, they've been the catalyst basis which taxpayers have been, in a sense, forced to adopt technology. And then, of course, now organizations are seeing the benefit of using technology in tax and are rapidly adopting it. If you look at it right from the ground level, in the recent years, what we have seen is the speed of processing the returns and refunds. We're talking about days instead of months, so that's a big shift. The pre-filled income tax return data is really, really useful, and it's very easy to file tax returns now, especially for individuals. And the income tax portal has been working well. Of course, there were some initial hiccups, but it has really improved. More importantly, what all of this has led is really the ease of doing business. There's an ease in the operations, better cash flows, time spent on compliance is reducing. Of course, there is still some work to be done on the TDS front, but overall, time spent on compliance has reduced. The data accessibility and availability on tax portals is again something that has to be commended. And overall, the manual communication the taxpayers has reduced significantly. So overall, I think yes, there's been quite a bit of good things that the government has done, which is reflected in the survey results. That the overall the corporates are pretty positive on the various initiatives that the government has taken.
Mm-hmm. Pratin, one main factor that you might want to call that has been worked out really well.
So the entire drive of moving to this entire technology-driven initiative. So, for example, earlier, the taxpayers used to get notices from tax departments. Manually, physically. Now, all of that is electronic. As I said, the entire communication between taxpayer and tax officers have become completely electronic, whether it's notices, responses, etc. So I think that has been one very, very important change. And the best part is that if everything is electronic, then all of that is available as a repository on the government site itself, which you can easily access. That is something that has really, really helped corporate taxpayers.
Sure. Nitin, I'll come to you and let's focus on ease of doing business. Now, do you think digital transformation initiatives of the government have actually benefited company in terms of ease of doing business? And if you agree on this, what are the benefits that you might want to just spell out right now?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kavita, for having me on the show. So basically, the government's efforts in digital transformation have significantly helped in undertaking the various tax and regulatory compliances for the business. As a step ahead, they introduced the faceless assessment and appeals, so which further ensure the greater transparency and accountability in the process. And as Pratin has mentioned, that communication is so easy with the taxpayer and the tax authorities. So that is also giving the benefit to the industry. And in addition to that, UPI payments, Aadhaar authentication, these has benefited the business in B2B and the retail spaces, right? So in that sense, these steps add significant value in the government efforts of the ease of doing business.
Sure. Pratin, now let's focus more on the survey highlights. Now, nearly 3/4 of the survey respondents expect government to implement SAF-T. We just want to understand what exactly is SAF-T and why is it important, Pratin?
Right, Kavita. So SAF-T is the standard audit file for tax. Now, this is a global OECD standard and it's been adopted by many European countries. Again, it cuts across both direct and indirect taxes. Now, what it really involves is creating a data file by taxpayers, which contains all their business transactions in a standardized format, and all of that is reported to the tax authorities on a near real time basis. Now, the benefit from a taxpayer's perspective is that the entire process of data collation, submission, reporting, etc., is can be completely automated if this is introduced. And even from the tax administration's perspective, the SAFT filing will significantly enhance and automate the entire process of audits, reviews, etc. At their end. It'll all happen, as I said, near real time. There will be no reliance or reaching out to taxpayers, so taxpayers burden will also reduce. So I think this is really going to be transformational. It will take the digitalization of tax to the next level, and again it will reduce the efforts, time taken, etc., for both taxpayers and the income tax department. So overall I think this would really help, and this coupled with the faceless assessments that Nitin spoke about, that will really make the entire process completely digital. Today, of course, we have the faceless assessments, but this additional step of the SAFT will really take it to the next level.
All right, Nitin, I just want to focus on your journeys a bit now. How has your journey been, in relation of adoption of technology in tax? Could you please share your experience around this, in case there is a before and after
Yeah,
phase that you might
sure.
want to highlight to our viewers?
Sure. So from the government side, basically they started this the technology in the taxation from the income tax. However, the major transformation we witnessed in the tax technology when the GST was implemented in 2017 by the government, and accordingly, all the organization has to basically automate the GST compliances in their ERP system. And before GST, as you know that VAT compliances were state-wise, the decentralized team were handling manually most of the time manually, but now there is one tax, one nation. So that allowed us to implement the provision of law and different checks and balances in our ERP system itself. Even we also implemented OCR technology, which actually read the PDF invoices and transform it to digital form. So that has reduced the significant possibilities of the clerical mistakes and all, and also the efforts in reconciling the books of account with the various returns like GST, TDS, and the income tax, that has reduced significantly. So the journey is still on, and with the evolution of AI, we see the further possibilities to enhance the capabilities and the efficiency in the tax compliances.
Mm-hmm. All right. Pritin, the use of Gen AI is being evaluated by all businesses in various areas. Now, do you think there is scope for use of AI or Gen AI in tax? What, according to you, could be the pros and cons?
Right. So absolutely, yes, Kavita, there is a lot of scope for use of AI or Gen AI in tax. Let me start with a couple of questions that we asked in our survey itself. So one of the questions that we asked taxpayers was around, the notices of the government are issued using analytics. How accurate are these notices? Because these are really issued based on analysis of significant analysis of data and use of AI by the department. Interestingly, nearly half, I think it was around 49%, said that these notices were accurate. 37% said they were somewhat accurate, and only 13% said that they were not accurate. So I would personally think that that's reasonably good progress from the government side on the use of Gen AI at their end. At the second question we asked was really to the taxpayers, that how comfortable would you be in using AI and Gen AI in tax? And more than half of them said that we were willing to implement it. Uh, Only one third said we'll wait and watch, and there was a small minority of 15% which said not yet. We'll wait for some more time. So I think overall taxpayers are also open to adopt AI and Gen AI in tax. Now, coming to the use cases, There are several of them, right from summarizing the court cases, drafting responses to the tax authorities, research and analysis, even predicting outcome of cases based on historical data. I mean, the possibilities are endless at a conceptual level. More at a ground level, it can be used for, say, determining the withholding tax or the TDS, the HSN classification for customs, computation of tax depreciation, determining the allowability of expenses or taxability of income. All of those aspects could be taken care of. So every discussion, frankly, that I'm having with any of my clients, they want to understand what is the role that AI and Gen AI can play in tax. Now, the second part, I think you asked about the pros and cons of use of Gen AI in tax. Of course, pros, significant time and efforts. I think the biggest thing is that Gen AI can help the tax department in companies to work in a more efficient manner. And what will then happen is that their time will be freed up so that they can focus more on value added activities rather than today a significant or a reasonably significant part of their time being spent on compliance. So I think that, to my mind, is the biggest benefit. Time spent will go down with the use of AI, Gen AI. The tax teams can actually focus on more important things with a partner in business, etc. Cons, of course, I think instead of cons, I would say what do we need to watch out on? Because, of course, we need to be very careful that, whatever we are getting out of AI and Gen AI, there is someone overseeing and looking and ensuring that whatever is coming out is seen by a human and validated by it. Because in tax, you need to be accurate. So Gen AI can be an aid or use or helpful to tax departments or in companies. Obviously, it'll support us tax professionals in our journey.
Sure, very well explained, Pritin. Nitin, your view on this, the use of generative AI, which is being evaluated by businesses, and also organizations are moving towards technology-driven tax function. Now, where do you see your organization in, say, 3 to 5 years, considering all these new developments and changes that we are witnessing, Nitin?
Yeah, so I fully agree with Pritin. So as of now, the significant time of the tax function of an organization is spent in the ensuring the compliances like monthly return, quarterly return, and then annual returns, and responding to various tax notices and tax queries and tax audits, right? And also recently the government has basically increased the coverage of taxation also, like they introduced the TDS and TCS on the goods transaction also, which was earlier on the service transaction only. So with these increase in the volumes, it is the need of the hour that we all go to the advanced technology like Gen AI and all, right? So that we can further improve the efficiencies in the tax compliances and also do a tax-based monitoring so that we can avoid those issues, the clerical mistake, which can convert to the litigation in future. So in a 3 to 5 year time, we expect that our technology would undertake itself a significant portion of compliance. And as a tax function, we would be able to focus on the monitoring and advising to the business on the new businesses and all, and the compliances regarding that, and put more efforts and focused effort on in avoiding the tax disputes and responding or defending the tax litigations.
Taxpayers and tax department becomes completely seamless. So I think that's the most important one. The other challenges, in fact, are mostly people related. I can probably speak about two or three of them. First is the unavailability of tax technology professionals. So today, the need of the hour is we need people who understand tax as well as technology. They are very few and far between today in India. The second thing is bandwidth issues. Uh, Companies and tax departments are so focused on their day to day activities that they lack the necessary time and focus to actually sit back and dedicate it to tax transformation, because initially that will require investment of time and efforts and money. So the bandwidth issues, luckily money is not a challenge today. What we've seen in the survey is that companies are increasing their spend on tax technology. It's just the teams don't have the bandwidth to pick that up as a separate project. And the third one, I think, is really the mindset. To my mind, that is the most important one. We all need to be open to change, human nature. Anything that comes up new, there is an initial resistance. That again we are seeing is, with more and more discussions and clarity around the vision, that is really not being a challenge anymore to my mind. But it's obviously a journey. So overall, I think technology is really going to transform the entire tax departments in ways that we never thought possible. And all tax professionals will, in a way, need to reskill themselves and embrace technology.
Skilling and upgrading will be need of the hour. But then, Nitin, do you agree with Pritin's answer on the challenges?
Yeah, definitely. As he mentioned, the resistance to change, which we normally encounter whenever we propose any technology for the systems and ERPs for our organization. And because people are so used to work on their defined and standard processes, they normally resist, and they fear that this may basically gone wrong, and then the repercussion may be high. So that hurdle, we are here to basically face that and convince the management so that they can adopt the technology and give a go ahead to the tax function. So that is the biggest challenge. And secondly, then of course the various platforms are there from the government side also, and we also have as an organization have different platforms. So syncing all those platforms and giving the accurate report, that is also biggest challenge nowadays. So some of the big technology companies are undertaking such a project that so that all the information can come on a single platform and a single report can be generated, and accordingly all the compliances can be undertaken and dashboards can be generated so that the reconciliation and everything is sorted.
All right. One last question to both of you. Pritin, I'll start with you. What is your vision of the future of tax?
Okay, so I would just probably share 3 or 4 bullet points here. Uh, I think one thing that is going to happen big time, especially if SAF-T is introduced, and again, I'm talking about the next 5, 7, 10 years. So there really won't be any time lag between transactions happening, the related tax payments going to the department, and the reporting for those transactions. It'll be as near real time as possible. So that's one. Secondly, technology and automation will completely be embedded in tax. You'll have data and analytics, which will be a cornerstone for tax. So overall, technology will be all over tax in a big way. So that's the second one. And the third one that I see is the tax teams will have, different kind of individuals. You'll obviously have the tax experts. Then you will have the technologists in tax teams as well, and the so-called purple professionals. So, I always get asked, what are these purple professionals? So the answer to that really is, if tax professionals are blue and technology professionals are red, the person who's going to succeed in the future is going to be the purple one. It's very important for technology people who are looking at this space to understand tax, and vice versa. Tax people have to understand technology to be successful in the future. I
Sure.
think that's the way I
Right.
see things panning out over the next 5 years.
Sure. Nitin, what according to you is the vision for future of tax?
Yeah, so apart from automating all the regular compliances, our vision is to make the system so strong and intelligent that can highlight the exception on almost on a real-time basis. For example, in case of GST, we normally need to do the reconciliation with the vendors' GST compliances. And nowadays, that report can be generated through API on a real-time basis almost, right? So that can be done at the time of invoice verification by our accounts team in the ERP system, right? So they can see the result of the reconciliation on the portal and on a real-time basis and accordingly take the necessary action, whatever correction is required. And also we aim to implement those automatic alerts to update the management almost on a regular basis on the compliance status and the litigation status. So these are the few points which we aim for the future, definitely. And so that we would be able to focus more on the learning and educating the various teams and the basically on the latest case laws, we can keep a watch and we can update to the management and define the strategy for the basically the case laws and litigation going on.
All right, I think my time is up, but thank you so much for being on the show and helping our viewers understand all the findings for this survey today. Thank you so much, Pratin and Nitin, for participating in this discussion.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kavita.
Kavita. Thanks, Nitin. Thank you.
And it's a wrap from my end also. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Rise above.
Evolved by the future. The all-new Kia Ceros.
Kia, movement that inspires.
मॉडर्न इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, अत्याधुनिक प्रयोगशालाएं और पुस्तकालय, हाईटेक साइंस लैब, व्यापक खेल सुविधाएं। ये है बदलते पंजाब के अत्याधुनिक सुविधाओं से लैस सरकारी स्कूल।
अपने पिछले साल दे 157 बच्चे फर्स्ट टाइम इन
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.